If you need Medicare and you know that your broker is going to get commission, how can you trust the decisions that they're going to try to help you make? Well, in this episode, we discuss an article all around this idea of commissions, and we have a specialized person that we've got on the show for an interview, Sean Southard, and he's going to break it down for you piece by piece.
We hope you've been enjoying all the episodes from Secure Your Retirement. If you'd like to keep learning and receiving these episodes, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you receive alerts when they come out. We've helped thousands of listeners get on the path to securing their retirement. Now it's your turn. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everyone, to Secure Your Retirement podcast. I always get excited when we have a guest on the podcast, and today is an extremely exciting day. Anytime I can get on Sean Southard and talk about Medicare, I tell you, Merce and I get giddy. So thank you very much, Sean, for coming on and chatting with us.
Oh, you're welcome. I love to see you guys giddy.
Well, you know, what I love about what we've been able to put together here at Peace of Mind Wealth Management is this holistic team approach. And one of the team members that came on a little while back is Sean, and we wanted to bring healthcare in. And what I'm about to bring up right now is one of those key reasons why I think it's so nice that we've got Sean on the team. So the other day, Sean, I was reading this article. It came up in Market Watch. Market Watch is one of the things that I kind of open up every morning and just kind of peruse through to see what kind of news is out there. And this article came up, and in the article, it says this: Medicare Advantage brokers could now focus more on making money and on commercials than on your health care. So now when I read that, I went, well, what the world is going on here with Medicare? And so I forwarded this over to you, Sean, and I said, hey, Sean, can you kind of talk to me about this and explain what's going on here? And then, as I do always, I go, hey, this must be a big topic, so why don't we have Sean come actually on the podcast, and instead of explaining it just to me and Merce, explain it to our whole entire audience. So
Sure.
From what I can gather, Sean, in this article that sounds a bit inflammatory, you know, like beware, your Medicare Advantage broker might be taking advantage of you, potentially could be taking advantage of you. It's around a court ruling and all that kind of stuff. So I guess first and foremost, can you kind of tell us what is this court ruling and kind of give us a little bit of context here?
Sure, absolutely. So it really boils down to what's known as the Medicare broker pay rule. So basically, around August 18th, give or take, his name is Judge O'Connor, Reed O'Connor. He's the federal judge that people may be familiar with in the news that's been involved with other high-profile healthcare rulings out there. He issued a decision about this rule that CMS, which stands for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they put this in place last year in 2024. The rule was designed to specifically cap how much insurance companies could pay brokers and marketing organizations to sell Medicare Advantage plans. Okay. It also the CMS ruling tried to eliminate certain types of bonuses that existed out there, like getting paid more if a broker enrolled lots of people in a particular plan, for example. They would get bonus for that. So Judge O'Connor, around August 18th, said that CMS overstepped its limits here, and according to the judge, said that CMS can regulate how Medicare plans protect beneficiaries, but they can't dictate how the payment limits are going to be set. So he struck down the CMS rule. But one good thing for people to know is he did keep an important piece in there. He said that the requirement that marketing groups cannot share your personal information with each other or other organizations, they can't do that without your explicit consent. So at least the privacy component is still there. He did not strike that down.
Well, that's interesting. So because I guess sometimes people don't realize, but yeah, people are being paid in the background for services provided. And in the world of insurance, commissions are paid quite often on that side. And that's been a constant conversation in our space, in the wealth management space and everything like that, of commissions and how they're being paid. Should they be regulated? All that stuff. So why did CMS try to regulate broker payments? I mean, what's the driving factor behind that?
No, that's a great question, Mers. Comes down to one word, and it's called influence. Okay, the influence factor. So if we think about it, let's say there's a Medicare Advantage plan out there, and it pays a broker $600 commission to enroll a person, into it. And then there's another plan that's out there that pays $400, pays that broker $400. So, the question we ask there is which plan may a broker likely push, with a client? Is it going to be the $600 one or the $400 commission payment? So, because if both plans are solid, the payment difference there could sway, could make a persuasive recommendation to one plan or the other. So CMS worried that Medicare beneficiaries, were not always getting unbiased advice from brokers and agents, and he wanted to level the playing field to make sure that no matter what plan that were being shown to folks, that the broker wasn't, nudging them along one way or the other. So that's really at the heart of it. And let's be honest, there have been some cases out there where aggressive marketing and lopsided, compensation structures have created confusion and has harmed beneficiaries along the way. Not in every case, but it's happened out there. So some people did end up in plans that weren't the best fit, and because of these incentives that were there.
Are those mainly from the commercials that you see anytime after 10 p.m. going into like 3 a.m. on TV?
But could be. Sometimes I'm not up that late, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think they're all. It doesn't matter when they aired. It's just the whole thing. Of the whole marketing, aggressive marketing tactics that are out there.
So I guess that the fact that this kind of went into a court scenario, you've really got two sides of the story. You got CMS, who they're trying to do what they do, and then I'm assuming on the other side is the insurance broker, and I'm assuming didn't like what CMS was doing. I guess that's what I get. Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. The insurance companies argued that those capping the payments and the commission payments would reduce competition and stifle innovation, and then also limit resources brokers and agencies could use to educate the Medicare beneficiary through marketing. So they did have an issue, and there was a trade group out there that even warned that without the flexibility in these commission payments, that smaller plans and smaller agencies that are out there may struggle to survive within the market space. So, and that could leave Medicare beneficiaries with fewer choices and plan choices, and and when they turn for personal guidance, especially in rural areas, they just wouldn't have the resources there to help them navigate, the best possible situation, because a lot of those folks don't have internet connection. They don't feel good about connecting on the internet with, Medicare.gov or anything like that. So they were really worried that people would be left out in the cold there. So they decided to sue, and they did, and the judge overruled it.
That's interesting. So then what does it really mean for, our listeners? Medicare is such a big decision, and it's you want to get it right, hopefully on the first go round. There are ways to make changes, but there's pros and cons to everything. And so understanding Medicare, but what does it mean to them? Break it down for us.
Yeah, no, that's great. So there's good news, and then there's some cautionary stuff here. So we'll start with the good news. The good news for folks is that they're going to have access to a wide variety of brokers and agents who are out there that can help you navigate through these Medicare Advantage plans. Second thing, since the payments are not going to be capped or cut off, insurance companies are going to be able to continue to invest in outreach programs and marketing and support services for people. So that's also very good. And another point is that people are probably going to notice fewer interruptions or disruptions in the relationships you've already had with your brokers, right? So that's always good. Some cautionary things just to throw out there. Of course, brokers may again still be influenced, right, consciously or not, by which plans may pay them more. Okay, that is a reality. That doesn't mean that they're bad people or dishonest people. They're it's human nature, and it just means that you, as the Medicare beneficiary, need to be a little more aware of the incentive system that's out there behind the scenes. And another cautionary thing is just that it could mean that there's going to be more aggressive marketing campaigns out there. You may see more flyers than usual, more commercials like you were mentioning, especially those late night commercials that people are up, can't sleep or whatever, and then phone calls, right? And the social media, right? Getting people to get into people's emails and everything like that, and Facebook pages and things like that. So, but don't forget overall that your data privacy is still protected, even though this has all happened. So marketing organizations can't sell or swap your information with each other without you specifically telling them that you can do that.
All right. Well, that's very helpful, Sean. We appreciate that. So I always like to, when we're talking about, retirement planning, um, sometimes it's easier for our brains to wrap around a real life scenario. So could you kind of maybe give us an example of a real life example of what somebody might be thinking about, just so their brain's ready for what this might mean for them?
No, absolutely. So let's just picture, two Medicare Advantage plans that are out there in your county where you live. Okay, there's Plan A and Plan B, and both cost about the same, for you, and both cover all your doctors and your prescription drugs and so forth. But one of the plans, we'll call Plan A, will pay the broker $200 more than the other to enroll you in it, right? So let's show that the broker shows you both plans and says, here are your pros and here's your cons, right? There you go. But and that's great if they do that. But let's say they start emphasizing that Plan A, the one that's going to pay a little bit more, $200 more, they're harping on the positives and the advantages of that over Plan B, right? Or they just mention Plan A, they don't mention Plan B at all. That's where earlier we're talking about where the commission payment influence comes in, right? How that can subtly creep in, and the agent may not even be aware of it themselves, but that's where it's going. But then let's flip it over. Let's say you live in a rural area, okay, and then there's Plan C that's out there, okay, that's available, and it's new to the market for these folks. And they're paying brokers extra to get this plan, the word out about this plan in the county. So let's say they're paying $400 for enrollment more than the other, 200 more than the other one, okay. Without the higher payment, nobody in these rural areas might even know about this plan, right? Because the brokers and agents aren't going to really push it because they're like, well, it doesn't pay that much. We're not even going to talk about it with people. So, but it could actually be a great fit for that person that lives out in that rural area, and they would never know about it because they didn't they didn't market it, or they didn't cover it with those folks. So, the bottom line is it's not clear cut, unfortunately. Higher commission payments can still sometimes lead to bias. But at least it's going to make sure that we have more choices out there for people in the marketplace.
Well, that's all really good to know, Sean. Medicare, I think, is very confusing as it is. And I'm sure you would agree. I know Raiden and I, back when we brought you into the company, it was because out of this drive of we can't keep up with it ourselves and we need a specialist under our roof to help service our clients and help them make the right decisions on Medicare. But it's an overwhelming topic. So how can the consumer, our listeners, protect themselves and not get taken advantage of? How do we make them a little bit smarter today?
Yeah, great. That's a great thing to bring up, Urs. I appreciate it. So just a couple things here. Overall, remember that Judge O'Connor's ruling keeps the broker compensation system intact the way it's always been, meaning that there's going to be more support out there for people in the Medicare Advantage space. But once again, people need to be vigilant and need to be aware and need to be proactive and ask questions, in their healthcare journey. The ruling also doesn't change Medicare itself. Medicare benefits people's rights as beneficiaries, and the options remain the same. So none of that has changed. But this ruling does impact and doesn't affect the environment around how plans are going to be marketed and how advice to you is going to be delivered. So I wanted to just end here with about 5 things that people can do like right now. So when you're talking to your broker or your agent, just ask them, how are you being compensated, right? Just ask them straight out. And a good agent or a good broker is not going to hesitate to answer that question for you. If they're worth their salt, they'll tell you how that happens and be very forthcoming to you. So there's something for you there. The second thing, use Medicare's tools that are out there. If you have access to them and you have internet access and so forth, go on to Medicare.gov and you can compare everything under the sun that's out there, right? As far as cost, coverage, star ratings, et cetera. you can go right there and use those tools. You can call SHIP, the State Health Insurance Assistance Program. There are some paid folks there, and then there's a lot of people that volunteer over there that work with Medicare beneficiaries and help guide them and so forth. Just something about that though. SHIP counselors are not licensed agents, so they cannot enroll people in products, but they can talk to you about Medicare and so forth. Fourth thing, take your time, right? If a broker or a marketer of some kind is pushing you towards making a quick decision, just take a pause and step back for a minute, right? Because remember that Medicare open enrollment is 8-week window, October 15th to December 7th. So you have plenty of time to be able to make the right decision and not feel pressured or feel like you have to do something very, very quickly. And then a final point I always try to make on our shows when you guys have me on is just keep it simple. Call me, right? Make that call. Call me here at Peace of Mind Wealth Management. I am uniquely, thanks to both of you, I am uniquely positioned here as an educational, consultative Medicare healthcare resource, okay? And how I'm compensated here eliminates completely any commission payment influence that's out there, all right? My job is to educate and be consultative to people to help them make and be empowered to make the best informed healthcare decision you can make for yourself and for your family. And I'm here to guide you every step of the way to make sure that happens.
Well, thank you very much, Sean. That has cleared up this article for us and what's going on. And I think, what we get from it, that we get so much value from it is that, we appreciate getting things understood and having that knowledge as well. And we know that you're a great resource for our clients. So again, if you do want to talk to Sean, feel free to reach out to us. You can go to our website, pomwealth.net, go to the contact us page and say, I would like to talk about Medicare. And they will get you right over to Sean and make sure that you can get that scheduled. But thank you very much, Sean. We hope everyone has a great week. We'll talk to you again next Monday.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Secure Your Retirement. If you would like to learn more, we have actually created an online course called 3 Keys to Secure Your Retirement. This video course helps you to think through all the different steps as you get ready to plan for and live throughout retirement. You can access this by going to our website, pomwealth.net. In addition, you can also subscribe below to our podcast called Secure Your Retirement.
For more retirement tips, check out these videos. Also, if you find them valuable, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a like.